Hey friends, what's up? Ash here, welcome back to Gents. Hope that you guys are doing well. It is Lattafa time. That's right, today we're taking a look at the newest release from Lattafa, or one of the newest. I mean, honestly, they come out with like 15 fragrances a week, it seems like. So one of the newest releases from Lattafa, Teriaq Intense. So this one is done in collaboration with perfumer Quentin Bish, which is why people are a little bit hyped about this one, interested to see how it smells, including myself. And if you don't know who Quentin Bish is, shame on you, but he is the perfumer behind a bunch of hyped releases over the past number of years, especially a lot from Jean-Paul Gaultier, like Le Male Le Parfum or Le Male Elixir, the Le Beau fragrances, the Scandal fragrances, the Kenzo Homme fragrances. I mean, he's done a lot. Ganymede, just a bunch of big releases. And now he is doing them with Lattafa. And this is the Intense version, which means, of course, he's already done the original version, and this one is actually quite feminine leaning, in case you couldn't tell by this pink colored bottle. But the Intense version, this is something entirely different. Now, I picked mine up from fragrancebuy.ca, about 50 bucks. That's what it cost. And I would imagine it's probably gonna stick at that price for at least a little while, because a lot of fragrance websites right now are actually taking pre-orders on this one for a little bit more than that, you know, closer to like the $60 range. But yeah, Fragrance Buy, that is where I scooped mine up. And like I said, about 50 bucks. I think technically like 12 cents less, but we're just gonna round. And that's 50 bucks US. I'll have that one linked in the description below. Feel free to check it out down there. But for now, let's get started by taking a look at the presentation. So here we have the box, and it has a slip cover. On the front of the slip cover, you have the name of the fragrance, name of the house, size and concentration, 100 ml eau de parfum. Got the Lattafa logo up top. You have a bunch of information, including the ingredients on the back. And then on the bottom, you're gonna find your badge code and barcode. My bottle was created October 2024, so all of a month ago, essentially. So you take the slip cover off. I had to find an urge to throw this for some reason. We'll just sit it right there. So here we have the box itself. It has kind of a rubbery feel to it. On the front, you have the name of the house, name of the fragrance. You have Lattafa up top once again. You have your sticker of authenticity on one side, and on the bottom, you have your barcode. And also a QR code, which takes you to the Lattafa site, and it opens like so. Pretty snug, actually. Yeah, you gotta give it a tug. And your bottle will be sitting down like that. And here is your bottle. So you have there on the front, name of the fragrance, name of the house, and your flanker name, Intense, right there in the middle. Has a darker coloration to the fragrance itself as compared to the original, and this one has a black and gold color scheme instead of that kind of rosy pink that the original had. You've got a snake that curls around the cap, and that cap does click into place. And then you have around the collar, the name of the fragrance, name of the house, the concentration, all right there. And on the bottom, a little more info once again. All right, guys, let's go ahead and share a couple sprays here. Here we go. 4 sprays. So a couple times a couple. Yeah, the atomizer on that one, I don't think is really that good. It does a wide distribution, but it doesn't really spray out a whole heck of a lot. Let's go ahead and spray the original as well. Atomizer's slightly better on the original, but you know, whatever. Really would like a nice pressurized atomizer here, because they're going out of their way, working with Quentin Bish, you know, promoting this one, having the nice presentation and everything, a little snake on the top, and then they give us an okay atomizer. Give me the pressure, give me the pressure. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so as I said, the original one here, this one, much more feminine leaning, more like fruity, sweet, a little powdery. In terms of notes, the original one has caramel, apricot, honey, rhubarb, floral notes, vanilla, leather, musk, and almond, among others. Quality is good. I was actually surprised at how nice it comes across, but it definitely leans more feminine, more of a traditionally feminine fragrance anyways, I would say. The new one though, this one is completely unisex. I think guys can wear this just as easily as women, and it doesn't really strongly lean either way as far as being more masculine or more feminine leaning as far as like your traditional style of fragrance. So how does it come across? Well, when you first spray this one on, you get a good amount of that plum liquor note. or excuse me, plum liqueur. And when I initially sprayed this one on, I thought, oh, I wonder if it's gonna lean toward Paragon, like Initio's Paragon, because that one has a whole lot of plum. It's a very popular fragrance, but no, actually, they are completely separate. That one, the Initio, is much more sweet off the top, and while this does have a decent amount of sweetness, there's also a solid dose of spice in there as well. So you get saffron in here, you get cinnamon, and it's a very warm, sweet, but also slightly fresh opening with like a deep sweetness. And it does come across fairly unique. It could remind you a little bit of bits and pieces of other fragrances, but this doesn't come across to me as a one-to-one clone, at least not really anything that I own. So I think this one is more its own thing, which I guess is what you would expect with this being made with Quentin Bisch. And I know some people are gonna be like, well, why do you even have to bring that up? Well, because it is from Lattafa, and most Lattafa fragrances are very obviously inspired by something else. So when it comes to Lattafa, that's the first question most people are gonna have. What's it a clone of? And the answer is, not really anything. It's kind of its own thing. So a good amount of cinnamon, saffron, and plum off the top. Really appealing, smells fantastic as soon as you spray it on. It doesn't have any off-putting funkiness, anything like that. There's a touch of freshness from citrus in there, but you don't really get a whole lot of citrus, and it fades very quickly. As you head through the mid, you pick up like an undertone almost of some earthiness, and it's underneath those other notes, that warm spiciness, that bit of sweetness. That's what hits your nose first. But then kind of like an aftertaste, you get a little bit of that earthiness afterwards. It's not something you really pick up much in the air. It's getting up close and smelling, you'll get a little bit of that earthiness. And I do think this is another one where in the air it smells better than right up close, because you get more of that plum in the air. And I think the best part of this fragrance, at least for me, is as it heads through the mid into the dry down, and for the entirety of the dry down, that earthy aspect that's kind of underneath everything, that starts to fade away. And then it has more of this almost like spiced fruitiness, like spiced reduced fruits that almost reminds me of like spiced wine or something like that you would drink during the holidays, like a hot spiced wine. It has that sort of like spicy, fruity aspect to it. And then you have this nice ambery kind of warmth, sweetness underneath that. And that's when it just smells absolutely killer, both up close and in the air. Now let's talk about the performance, because at least as of this video, if you were to check, say, Fragrantica, it says that this is just an unchained monster. Like, just everything there right now points to this being enormous projection, insane longevity, and it performs well, don't get me wrong. It's not that strong though. It lasts a long time on your skin. And actually when you spray it on your skin, it does leave like a little bit of a shine where you have that on after it dries. Like I sprayed it on my hand earlier, and it does look slightly shiny. Not like Hawas Black or anything, it's not like that. It's just, you can kind of take a look at it and see that, you know, it's got some decent amount of fragrance oil in there. And so it gives you that little sheen. And in terms of longevity, it is good. It does stick on your skin. It does last for a long time. It's just, as far as projection goes, it's not gonna fill up a room unless you go real heavy with that atomizer. It's not weak as far as projection goes. You can still pick it up. It's just, it's not that strong. I have no complaints about the performance, so I'm not trying to like say it's weak. I'm not trying to say, oh, you know, that's the big drawback with this one. I'm just saying, if you look at that and you think it's gonna be, you know, the next coming of Interlude as far as the performance goes from Amouage, it ain't that. And part of that could be also the atomizer, because again, that doesn't spray out a whole heck of a lot, so you might need to go a little heavier to get more of that projection. It's just, I would put this one as having well above average longevity, and more like average to slightly above average projection. Not anything insane, but definitely enough. Now, as I kind of talked about earlier about the price point here, I would expect as time goes that this will dip down a little bit, but I would also think this is gonna be a little more in demand than the original one, which that one you can pick up for like 25 bucks nowadays. If you could get this for 25, that would be an insane deal. With this one being about 50, that puts it toward the upper end of Lattafa pricing overall, but it does smell darn good. So yeah, one of those things where it's like 50 bucks, but pretty good. If it drops down more, you know, 35, something like that, I say scoop it up all day at that price. But still, 50 is not too bad. If you feel like that's too much for you personally for Lattafa, just keep your eyes on it and see if as the months go by if it doesn't trickle down a little bit. But there we go. That's the new Teriaq Intense from Lattafa. Really love how this one smells. If you're a fan of plum in general, you'll probably very much enjoy it, especially if you like kind of a spiced plum, because especially as it dries, you get a little more of that spice that comes out, and that's when it really smells amazing. All right, guys, that will do it for me. Thank you for hanging with me. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.